Good morning, ladies, it's Julie here. Now you can't see my face this morning. All you can see on my desk with my new camera angle is some pieces of grapevine, which we have a grapevine growing over our pergola in the garden, and I've snapped these bits off, dead bits. And the reason I'm showing you this new camera angle is that I wanted to share with you a project I think you'd like to try for yourself at home, and that's all about creating alphabet letters from grapevine. So it doesn't need to be grapevine, it could be honeysuckle or anything where it's got a shape, even sticks you pick up off the ground. So like lots of my flower arranging inspiration, this isn't my idea. I went to a flower festival at St Mary's Church in Chartham here in Kent last Bank Holiday Monday, and they had used this same technique, so I'm guessing how they made their vines, and I'm going to share that with you today. So I've got two pieces here, and originally what caught my eye was this one here. I thought it looked a bit like a J, and I thought if I put the two together it would look like a J with straight up and then the cross piece down here. Now I need to join the two pieces together, and what I'm going to do is to cut off some of the excess here to make it easier to work with. I'm going to use secateurs, just snip that straight through. And now you've got lots of options for joining these pieces together. That you could use a glue gun, which I'm going to use because it's quite instant and quick. But if you don't have a glue gun, you could tie it up with string, or cable ties would look really great. Just, a quick zip round and then pull the cable tie tight, so you can get those in white or clear or black, or pipe cleaners. And it really depends what this sort of fixing to make your letter shape. It would depend on the look that you're after at the end. So you could go pipe cleaner crazy if you're going to use lots of colourful buttons that would sort of look really good for the pipe cleaner, or you could raid the children's toy box and all those odd bits of Lego and plastic gunk. You could make a real childlike letter and hang that perhaps in your children's bedroom. But I'm going to use the glue, and I'm leaning back behind the camera hoping that you can. Oops, I've got the glue nice and hot, and I'm pulling the trigger and I'm getting a line of glue down the edge. I want a slightly thicker line of glue down there, and then try and remember which way up it was. I think it went that way, and holding it together. So it's not going to be a totally flat J because I've got some movement there. And when it dries, you can see that it goes slightly white here, so you can pick off the bits that you don't like, or just make sure that you cover them up. So I'm quite sure that you can see that, but you can see the top of my J there, and then you can see the loopy bit around here. So it's a bit of using your imagination. And I'm going to cut off this lower piece as well, just so that I can make it even more J-like, so you get the idea there. And then what I was going to do, I was going to use some bouillon wire, which is, those of you who go to flower clubs will be familiar with this. And if you don't, I'll post a link to it later on from Amazon, really easy to get hold of. And that would have been another way of fastening my pieces of twig together. I could have just gone round and round and round, and it would have made a really good way as well of binding on the materials I wanted to add to it. And I'm just going to stretch across. That I originally thought I would use some sedum. This is a lawn mowing accident in the garden, so we've got a lovely bit of sedum here. But I've decided not to use this because the flesh is too fleshy, the stalk is too fleshy, and if I was going to wrap that on, I would just cut into the sedum, and I just end up with a load of green twigs on there because the heads would become decapitated. So what I've decided to do is, as I've got my glue gun out, I'm going to use, again, some more hydrangea. This one is from my garden. You know that I love going to my sister's garden and taking her a hydrangea, but this is another lawn mowing accident in the garden, which I've rescued and put in a vase, so that's dried off really beautifully. But I couldn't wrap this one on either, because as the hydrangea dries, it becomes really brittle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off originally all the florets from the main stem, and then with my glue gun I'm going to glue those on to my alphabet form, my letter here. So So just a tiny bit of glue and working from one side to the other. Put those on there. So what I'm going to do is just going to be a very sparse covering, because I quite like the beauty of the honeysuckle. And I don't want to cover that up too much, but if you were using something perhaps a bit more utilitarian, you were going to use garden canes or something, you know, it wasn't quite so natural looking. I'm back again. My Wi-Fi signal seems to be a bit strange this morning. So here I am gluing with the hot glue gun, just a dab of glue on the back, and then pressing that onto the little piece of grapevine. And as I say, I'm just doing a light coverage because I want to be able to see the grapevine in the background. But if you wanted to, if you were going to do this, you could totally bind over the form that you've used, the structure at the back, whether that be grapevine or twigs of some sort, and you could, you know, really make it your own, so you couldn't even tell that it had a twig base. And that is what I'm going to do. So I shall just continue merrily on, and if anybody is watching, you're welcome to leave me a lovely comment, or if you want to ask me a question or make some suggestions for what else you'd like me to explain to you. If you've got a problem with maybe your flower arrangements, or you're not sure what flowers to buy or how to look after them. I know we've had some new members to the group, so I'd love it if you would introduce yourself. I'm just going to cut some more of these. I'm using my scissors the whole time to cut the florets off, because they are so brittle. If these had been fresh, I could have pinched them off with my fingers, but I'm worried about snapping and damaging them, so that's why I'm being careful to use my scissors. And then when I finished this, I'm going to put a piece of string around the top, or if you had it, fisherman's wire, because that's see-through and won't show up. Now what I'm doing here is I'm just coming down the stem where I joined the two pieces of vine together, so you can see that although my fixing was quite neat, it was quite wide then, you can see the dribbles of glue, but because I've positioned the hydrangea on the top now, it's covered up that gap, so it doesn't matter if you're not particularly neat with it. But the whole thing is you're supposed to just be having a little bit of fun with what you're doing, and it doesn't have to look as if it's been made in a factory and looks absolutely perfect. You're just making memories, really. So here I am again using, sort of preserving what's in the garden now at the height of summer, 1st of September, and so I can enjoy this through the winter months. And eventually, if I handle the letter too much, the hydrangeas will just shrivel and will just crumble off. And you can imagine that if I was constantly playing with it, they would just decay fast, crumble away. So I'm going to hang it on the wall and not touch it again until next year. So probably not the best of projects if you're a dusting fiend, because you'll be tempted to swipe it through with a duster every now and again. If you don't like the dust that accumulates, I would suggest blowing over your letter with the cool setting on your hairdryer, just sort of create a bit of a breeze, or even just to pick it up and shake it, and that'll get rid of any dust. And you can see here that as I'm using the glue gun, I'm getting a little bit stuck up. And I should say, of course, if you're using a glue gun, the glue is hot, so you need to be careful that you don't burn yourself. And if, of course, you do have a burn, to run it under the cold tap as soon as you can. But I just carry on in a bizarre way. I kind of like the sensation of the glue on my fingers. And then when you have finished, all these sort of trails that you get, you can just pull those away. So you could be really ingenious with this. You could, if you've got any beads, as I say, you could string beads together. The ones at the Flower Festival had shells on them, little red berries from the garden, eucalyptus buds, and you could do, painstakingly with pine needles or tiny pine cones. You just go along and do whatever pleases you. Now, having said I was going to do quite a light application of the flowers, you can't see my stem at all, so sometimes these things, you have in mind what you want to do, and then you change halfway through. I shouldn't have committed and told you what I was going to do. You just need to see where it takes you, really. So we're just doing this for fun, something to hang up on the wall. You could imagine this perhaps in a children's bedroom, or even, it seems to be quite fashionable now at weddings to have, you know, the bride's and groom's initials spelt out. So you could give it pride of place on your mantelpiece, gift it to a friend, you know, decorate for a party, what have you. I think I need to have a look at that from a distance. I'm not quite sure whether I want to come up over there, but I will, off camera, I will put that up against my wall and see what it looks like. So I hope you've enjoyed that, my part 1 and part 2 of creating your own alphabet vine. And then of course you could go along painstakingly, either doing your whole name in the same, using the same materials, or to do every letter of your name in a different material. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and I shall see you another time.